Indiana for ESPN College Football Primetime, featuring West Virginia against LSU. Hi, everybody. Ron Franklin at Cunningham. And down on the sideline is Janine Edwards. And we're happy to have you here in Baton Rouge tonight. They just gave the weather, and quite frankly, we get a blessing this evening at Cunningham. Only 80 degrees here at kickoff time, 74% humidity, and just a very, very slight chance of rain this evening. Normally this time of year, it is more like a wet blanket. It is very, very hot. But kicking this late, we're going to have a break in the weather. What's your feeling about the beginning of this one tonight, Ed?
Well, West Virginia gets the ball to start out, and it's all about their triplets. Tavon Austin, number 1, 5'9", 173. Noel Devine, the running back, 5'8", 180. Jock Sanders, the wide receiver, 5'7", 179. They're all small guys, but they're all great in space. They're going to try to get the ball out quickly against this LSU pass rush.
Josh Jasper prepares to kick it off for the LSU Tigers. What an outing he's coming off of. 5 field goals against Mississippi State last week. And this high end-over-end kick will come down at the 2. And this is Eddie Davis on the return. And he is met with authority at the 20-yard line. LSU won the toss, and they deferred, wanting to put their defense on the field first, which means we will see Geno Smith at quarterback for the West Virginia Mountaineers.
Now, this young man's only making his 4th start, but don't think he's coming in here as a greenhorn. He played last year at Auburn in the second half. He played the entire second half in the bowl game against Florida State. This will be the loudest environment he's played in, but he is not a sophomore making his 4th start. Has a lot of experience last year as a true freshman.
Well, you see the kind of offense they run. They have 3 wide receivers, shotgun formation, with 1 man in the backfield, and that's Noel Devine. And they give it to Devine, and there's nothing. He'll be stopped maybe for a loss of 1/2 yard. Lavarius Livingston, the left defensive tackle for the Tigers, steps up to make the initial hit of the evening. This is a very good, it is young, but a very good defense for the LSU Tigers. Smith rolls the pocket in and out of the hands of Austin. Here's a look at the starters for West Virginia. We talked about the starting quarterback that he has in the backfield with him. Noel Devine, Ryan Clark, the fullback, Bailey, Austin, and Sanders, the 3 starting wide receivers. They'll use 4 at time. Barclay at left tackle. Jobe has been moved from right guard, and Bowers at right guard. It is his very first start. He is a redshirt freshman. Probably an interesting watch tonight, wouldn't you think?
Well, I don't think he probably got a whole lot of rest last night either. First start in Death Valley.
And he's also nursing a bad knee. 3rd down. Rolls the pocket. Throws the pass complete at the 26. That will be well short of the 1st down as Jock Sanders makes the reception, and it will be punting time for West Virginia. Kelvin Shepard defensively for the Tigers.
And that was Ryan Baker on a blitz. John Chavis, longtime defensive coordinator at the University of Tennessee, came over last season with the changeover there, and he will bring pressure many different ways, and that was a nice call. Baker came free in the middle of the offensive line.
Pugnetti, who also, well, he plays kicks and punts, and he is back to do the punting for the Mountaineers, standing at his own 12-yard line. Here's the boot. Low driving spiral. Coming down to Peterson on the run at the 38, 40, 45, up the sideline, and if he stays in bounds, he is good for Golden Land, but he is stepped out of bounds at around the, well, they're going to say the 37-yard line. Ricky Kovac, a reserve fullback, is the man who pushed him out of bounds and kept him from lighting up the scoreboard on the very first touch by the LSU Tigers. 36 on the punt, 43 on the return.
And Patrick Peterson, first time in college he's returned kicks. Everyone knows how wonderful he is as a return man, or excuse me, as a cornerback, and I think he just upped his average. He was at 23.9 coming into the game. A nice add to his game.
So first down for the Tigers, and it goes without saying, excellent field position to start the night. And they want to throw on first down. Near sideline, it is caught by Tolliver, and he will go right to his knee at the 28. The profile on Jordan Jefferson, a junior out of St. Rose, Louisiana.
Of course, he had to make that start in the Chick-fil-A Bowl back in 2008, an up-and-down year last year. Has had a couple of rough games to start this year. The coaches are waiting for him to kind of turn that corner, wondering if Jarrett Lee might be the guy that Les Miles has to go with eventually if Jefferson doesn't make improvement as the season goes on.
Ridley is the tailback, and he is the man with a hand on each knee at the 35.5-yard line, standing behind Jordan Jefferson. Movement on the defensive and offensive front. This will be an interesting call.
False start. Number 64 offense.
Lonergan, the center, is the man who came up early out of the stance, which created or caused the movement by West Virginia, and the 5 yards will be stepped off.
Looked like there was a confusion on what that snap count was, and Neal, one of the best true nose guards in all of college football, 300-pounder. He plays what's called a two-gap technique. He tries to take both sides of the center and take up a guard and the center.
So second down. And they run the option. Keeping it. Jefferson inside the 25. Down to the 22.5-yard line. It is a first down after a gain of 11. For the LSU Tigers offensively, Ridley, James Stampley, the fullback, then Tolliver, Shepard, and D'Angelo Peterson is back. First time he's played this year. Very talented. Up front, Barksdale, Lonergan, Alex Hurst at right tackle. Peterson, number 19, 6'4", 243. And they really look for things that he can do. Ball in and out of the hands of the receiver. It's intercepted by West Virginia's Kevin Tandy, the redshirt junior out of Hopkinsville, Kentucky. And boy, what a huge play to start the game defensively for the Mountaineers.
And the problem that LSU had last week against Mississippi State was drop balls. The ball's a little high, but Tolliver's got to make that catch. What a huge, huge turnover for Les Miles and LSU.
We'll be right back. Tandy, cornerback on the right side with a huge upset for Bill Stewart. And Bill's ball club following a 43-yard punt return by Patrick Peterson had given up good field position as you look at Les Miles, but puts Miles' team unable to take advantage of the situation. A pick. Second offensive possession. Handoff goes to number 7, that's Devine, and he will turn the corner, and he's going to have about 5 yards in the play. LSU starting on defense. This is the way they go. Adams, Livingston, Nevis, and Sam Montgomery. Drake Nevis, very, very good at nose tackle. Francois, Shepard, and Baker are the linebackers. And at the corner spots, it's Claiborne and Peterson, absolutely stellar performer. Hatcher and Taylor are the safeties. You see LSU shifting defensively. Geno Smith with an audible. And he'll take the snap under center. Option play, quick pitch. And Devine turns the corner, steps out of bounds. Janine Edwards, let's check with you very quickly on the sideline.
Well, Ron, West Virginia coach Bill Stewart was very concerned about his offense operating under the tremendous crowd noise here in Tiger Stadium. He had his guys work in their indoor practice facility this week with crowd noise pumped to a deafening roar. He said, we cannot get backed up because of noise. And after their first offensive series, they were working on doing a better job handling the pressure up the middle in the O-line.
Well, you can say that you have seen noisy stadiums before, and the one in West Virginia is just that itself. But this is an extremely, extremely noisy house. Play action, Smith wants to throw. And he gets it off to the short side of the field, and it's going to be short of the first down, but it'll be out to the 38-yard line as it is thrown to Lindemann.
And that time, as it looks like Morris Claiborne is down. 2 interceptions last week against Mississippi State.
Well, it looks like he's holding his arm. Like maybe he got caught squeezed in a tackle situation.
Well,
as Ed said, but 2 picks last week against Mississippi State.
Yeah, went in there, led with his head, which right arm seemed to bother him as he came up from that hit. But they do have depth. Obviously, Claiborne, you want back. Those 2 interceptions were the first 2 in his career. Tyrann Mathieu, a young man, true freshman, who plays a ton. He's basically a starter, so he'll take that spot.
Yeah, he's in the
and he's
right
an awfully
now.
good one. He's at the top of your screen now.
Tyrann Mathieu, a freshman from New Orleans, number 14. And as the coaches said, he's not only very instinctive as a young guy, he also was extremely well coached in high school. Second down, line to make, the 42. Blitz coming off the corner. West Virginia runs away from it, and then there's nothing doing. Now here comes a late flag in. Noel Devine, the ball carrier again. And this is one of the difficult things as we wait for the call. At only weighing
Personal
1/8.
foul. Legal hands to the face. Number 95 defense. 15-yard penalty and an automatic first down.
Lavarius Livingston picks up a 15-yard penalty for hands to the face. So a big mistake on a play that they had stopped. Let's talk about your game plan, Ed.
Well, as more LSU Tigers are battling injury for West Virginia, I don't think that they're going to be able to do. I believe that's Ryan Baker.
Yeah.
Little or no drop back pass. A moment ago, we saw a play action where Geno Smith had plenty of time, but with the pressure that they can bring with their front 4, I don't think you can do a lot of just straight drop back passing against this front. And for LSU, talking to John Chavis, he said watching tape of teams that try to play West Virginia and play off to keep it in front of them, they have too much speed. And so they want to take that space away because of the athleticism they have in their secondary. There's a look at John Chavis right there, but he's got the athletes where they can play a lot closer to the line of scrimmage. You can see that, how tight they are already.
First down following that mistake with the 15-yard penalty. They roll the pocket. Got a man out there wide open is Devine. He's going to have a first down as he takes it inside the 35. And now late flags coming in as he was hit out of bounds. And Lamine Barrow will get credit for the tackle, but it's a gain of 15. I think you can add another 15. So that's 45 yards on 3 sequences here.
Unbelievable. What a terrible start for LSU in their second defensive series.
After the run, personal foul. Number 57 defense. 15-yard penalty. Automatic first.
But, you know, the one thing when we were talking to John Chavis, he talked about Geno Smith and how good he was at hitting guys on the run. As they're moving, he's so accurate with the ball, and you can see that Noel Devine never has to break stride to catch that. That's why it's such a big gainer.
So first down. And, folks, the new line of scrimmage. After a 15-yard penalty, a 15-yard gain, and another 15-yard penalty, they are at the 16.5-yard line of the Tigers. Smith again with an audible, and this time he will go from the shotgun rather than underneath. Devine, right side, tries to break off a tackle. He'll have 3. That's Kelvin Shepard defensively.
Nice little inside track play that time. And Shepard, who's having a wonderful senior year. Very bright young man. He's got a lot of young players around him. If Baker is going to be out, they're going to be even younger. Has done a really nice job of bringing the guys around him into the film room and working very hard at them learning the nuances of this defense.
Glad to see that Morris Claiborne is back into the ball game, number 17, occupying that left corner position for the Tigers. Second down. They run it again. Devine tries to hide behind those big offensive linemen and will take it in the vicinity of the 10, but they'll say down at the 11. Lamine Barrow, redshirt freshman out of Marrero, Louisiana, on the stop.
And that's the one thing people, when they look at Noel Devine, they think, you know, he's a smaller guy at 5'8", 180 pounds. He's one of the strongest guys on the team. Bench press is 445 pounds, and he can run between the tackles very well.
8th play of the drive. It all started back at the 22-yard line. West Virginia trying desperately to call a timeout, and they get the attention of the side judge, and a timeout for Bill Stewart's crew. No score. Mountaineers threatening.
It's the sure sign of a good time. Here we go. And Kingsford Charcoal. Get fired up for Tailgate Week beginning September 27.
Mike 6 was donated to the LSU campus in 2007 by the Great Cats of Indiana organization. And by the way, he weighs about 460 pounds. And how much does he eat? 15 pounds of food a day. This time, Ryan Clark is the only setback, number 32. Pressure from the outside. Pass is away. Tipped. Very dangerous. And now here comes a flag down. Ryan Baker with heavy, heavy pressure. Number 22.
That's the second time Baker has come free on a blitz. Yeah.
Offensive pass interference.
That when that flag is thrown like that in the middle of the field, it's usually a pick that they're calling. There were two crossing routes.
Jock Sanders.
Pass interference. Number 9 in the offense. Penalties decline. 4th down.
But you see the pressure that comes when you try that drop back pass. That pocket is just going to collapse in a hurry. I don't know how many of those you can call tonight.
Going to be a 28-yard attempt. It'll come from squarely right in the middle of the field. Good pass, and he tipped it low. And that ball is tipped at the line of scrimmage, I do believe. Bittencourt's kick, they're going to say, was blocked. Line of scrimmage will be the 20-yard line. That's where LSU will take it over.
And that's a low kick. Blocked right at the line of scrimmage. I believe it was Nevis in the middle, but this is the second block kick for Bittencourt. He had one against Marshall, and that was a low kick as well, but this ball drives through. No, excuse me, that was Livingston, who's a 6'4" guy with long arms.
Laverius.
Yeah. Yep. And it was the push in the middle. It wasn't that bad of a low kick. It was because of the push that Livingston was able to get closer to the kicker and get that arm up.
It looked as though maybe he had his steps were wrong.
A little slow.
Yeah. Well, the first running play by Alfred Blue. And he's going to take it up close to the 30-yard line.
And Blue, a young man who has worked himself into the rotation at running back. Of course, Richard Murphy has been out with a hamstring since Vanderbilt, but Blue, a true freshman, great work ethic and practice. He's picked up the passing game and pass blocking, which is so essential at this level. We're starting to give him a shot.
Alfred Blue, as Ed said, is a freshman. He's from Butte, Louisiana, which is just outside of New Orleans. In fact, as you come toward Baton Rouge from the airport, you see a sign. Take a left and you're there. And they roll the pocket. Throw the pass complete at the 25. Off the tackle, Ridley. And Ridley out over the 40 to the 42. It'll be a first down and a gain of 18 yards by the junior.
What a nice run by Ridley, but this is exactly what they're hoping to see from Jordan Jefferson. Just get the ball out of your hand. The one thing that Jefferson has done in the past is hang on to the ball too long. That one right away, even though they had two receivers downfield, he saw Ridley. He led him with the pass. Ridley did a nice job of running through an arm tackle for the big game.
One of the things that these two ball clubs certainly have in common, and that is they have people that they like to get in space or hit them as a moving target. And after that, yards after the catch become sizable. From the 42. Pitch goes back to Ridley, turns the corner, going to take it out to the 50-yard line. Here's that defense that the Mountaineers run, which is called a 3-3-5. Berry, Neild, and Miller. And the linebackers, Good, Leonard, and J.T. Thomas, who just had that last tackle. And in the secondary, Hogan, who has been on suspension. He's back. He's starting the game. Sands, Garvin, Glover, and Keith Tandy, who had an interception on the last LSU drive deep in their own territory. D'Angelo Peterson back in the ball game, number 19. Well, that one, and this is the second time it's the snap count or something has not been on.
Number 78 offense. 5-yard penalty, second down.
Barksdale.
Yeah, that just looked as ugly as the last one, didn't it?
Well, people kind of moved at their own leisure there. That's 4 penalties on LSU for a total of 40 yards.
And you always know a head coach what their background is. That drives Les Miles, a former offensive lineman from Michigan, a former offensive line coach in the NFL and at the collegiate level. That'd be driving him crazy.
About to go into 5 minutes to play first quarter. And we got flags all over the place again. Movement again. Got to be a 5-yard step off.
Full start. Number 78 offense.
Wow, 2 in a row.
5-yard penalty, second down.
You know, sometimes Barksdale may be trying to get a quick jump because of the speed on the end there, and he might just be a click early. A lot of times you try to time that sometimes as an offensive lineman, but he's just going to have to wait a bit. He can't go backwards 10 yards, especially as much as they've been struggling on offense this year.
Well, the season high in penalties was 8 against North Carolina. They swing it out to Alfred Blue. Then he turned the corner. Not totally. That is a great move by Robert Sands, the free safety. And folks, I'll tell you what, if we get a closer look at him, Sands is 6'5", 221 pounds, which is a pretty good size fella for a free safety. That's really close to a linebacker size. If he weighed around 240, 245.
Has good range, good speed. That time it looked like it was going to be a much bigger gain, but Sands came up from that free safety spot. And they move around all over the place with those 5 defensive backs. You're never quite sure where they're going to line up. Can be confusing for a guy like Jefferson.
That's a terrifically good athletic move on the part of Sands. Cornerbacks are moving off rather than playing bump and run. Here comes pressure. Gets it away. Got a man open. Tanover right over the middle. And a flag is down. He'll be tackled at the 38-yard line. And as we said, there was a flag back behind the line of scrimmage. And it's going to be holding.
10-yard penalty, third down.
Oh, you can hear the boos. All of a sudden, Jordan Jefferson makes a wonderful play in the pocket. Something that they have been working on with him consistently is moving up into the pocket. He had a tendency to try to bounce everything backwards. He had a bad intentional grounding call in the first ball game against UNC. He finally does it, and they're going to get Lonergan, the center, for holding. And this offensive line is not helping. A quarterback is doing a nice job, and that was clearly holding. A blitz from Hogan from the corner almost got there, and a really nice job of Jefferson to elude it.
That is 6 penalties already.
And you've got a quarterback who's battling some confidence issues and trying to get into a flow, and your offensive linemen aren't helping you out at all.
Empty backfield. Jordan Jefferson to take the snap. Steps up, looking, still looking, throws it out in the flat, safety valve, and that's Ridley. And Ridley will have it almost back to the original line of scrimmage.
And as crazy as this sounds, that was a nice play by the quarterback, because he was being chased by Bruce Irvin, a junior college transfer for West Virginia, who's a sub 4.5 40 defensive end, but he did a nice job sliding and picking up something to get a little better field position for their punter and try to flip this field.
Derek Helton stands back to kick. First punt of the night by the LSU Tigers. And Jock Sanders, one of the deep men, along with Brandon Hogan. Here's the boot. Good high coverage kick. Wow. Way, way back. Got to receive it at the 5-yard line. And he will only get back to the 12-yard line. 55 yards on the kick and 7 yards on the return.
And now for West Virginia, you have to think they have a feel for this.
So it is first down following a tremendous booming punt by Helton. They scrimmage from their own 12-yard line. Third offensive possession of the night by the Mountaineers. Smith steps up, drills the pass in and out of the hands of his receiver, Austin. And we'd like to welcome those of you who have been watching Oklahoma defeat Cincinnati 31-29. This is the SEC on ESPN, where our score right now is LSU nothing and the Mountaineers of West Virginia nothing. First time the two teams have ever met. Pass in the flat, and it's off the mark. He wanted Jock Sanders. And for those of you who are just joining us, here are some of the things that you missed in the first quarter. An interception here as the ball is tipped, and Tandy, the right quarterback, picks it off for the Mountaineers. And then the blocked field goal. Bittencourt misses, and Bittencourt has had tough luck this season. Has had a couple of those. So it's third down. They need to take it to the 22-yard line. And straight ahead with the handoff is Clark. Ball is loose. Picked up by LSU and taken down to the 7-yard line. And that's Tyrann Mathieu, a true freshman out of New Orleans, Louisiana. And it's the second turnover by the Mountaineers. Second turnover of the ball game. First turnover against the Mountaineers. Do you see the ball come loose? And 14 is right there.
Yeah, that's just bad ball security by Clark. Not much of a hit. Arm comes up and pops that out. But you have got to wrap that ball up in traffic. That's your big power back. That's why he's in there. That's more of a mental error than a physical one.
Jordan Jefferson goes under center. And we'll see if this is a gift from West Virginia as Ridley takes it for a couple in the vicinity of the 4-yard line. So LSU with the turnover, a pass interception, and they were driving at the time. And that thing was picked off by Tandy. And now the fumble and the recover by LSU's Tyrann Mathieu.
And this is one of the reasons down in here, this is one of the reasons they like Jordan Jefferson. You got an I formation. Wouldn't be surprised with an option type of play here.
Two tight end alignment. That's James Wright in motion. Ridley, right side. Not going to have the score. In fact, he may not have even achieved the 1-yard line. Going to be third down.
Now here is where, if you're West Virginia, you have to be very, very aware. You mentioned earlier that D'Angelo Peterson, the tight end, is in there for the first time. This is where play action comes into play on 3rd and goal, although they just brought in an extra lineman. Chris Falk came in, an additional tackle. But if I'm West Virginia, I would think play action pass here.
Falk just checks into the lineup. Number 76, a redshirt freshman, Ida Slidell. A tackle, they line him up on the outside of the right and close to the touchdown and did not get in. Stephen Ridley could not take it into the end zone.
And you have to go for it here. LSU at home on the, foot and a half line.
That's 2 tackles down here by J.T. Thomas.
And I don't think with Chris Neal, an all Big East performer at nose guard, I don't think the play you want here is a quarterback sneak. But you don't want to get fancy and try to get to the outside. I still think you want to do something straight ahead. But that was,
your play is going to be reviewed to see if he did, in fact, get it across the end zone line.
Awfully close. That was a really nice job. It looked to me like Ridley was stopped short. But right at the very end, he got that ball out. Extended, and obviously that angle, it's not conclusive, so they couldn't overturn the call being down 4th and goal.
See Bill Stewart at the top of your screen looking on with hands on hip, and he keeps looking at the replay, the screen up to his right, which is the north end. And let's take another look here. You judge for yourself. You play replay official. What do you think?
I think he's in. Now, the problem is you can't think it. You can't see his lower body there. It has to be conclusive that he was in. And you can't use that judgment. It's got to be absolutely clear that he was in.
All of this happening with 36 seconds left in the first quarter. Here's the call.
Fourth down.
And everyone's booing, but the language used there was the ruling on the field stands, not that it was confirmed. That means that they didn't have conclusive video evidence to overturn it. So that was the correct call. You couldn't see his lower body.
So the situation, Tigers are going to go for it. Ridley is in the ball game. Now Alfred Blue will check into that backfield also. Ridley number 34, Blue number 24. And they'll go the kick inside, handoff, touchdown, Stephen Ridley. Stephen, a junior out of Natchez, Mississippi. And we'll talk more about him as the evening goes on, but really an interesting young guy. He had committed to Ole Miss, but Natchez is only an hour and 15 minutes from Baton Rouge. And when the Tigers offered, he said, no, that's closer to home. And he is a big fan of his mom's, and he wanted her to be close to see him play. Extra point attempt. Ball is down. Kick is up. It is good. And the LSU Tigers have taken the lead. And as we go to break, let's take one more look at Stephen Ridley as they got him blocked from every angle. And he will slide across. Tigers by 7. 7-0. LSU goes on top. Ron Franklin, Ed Cunningham, Janine Edwards down on the sideline. Things happen that are really strange sometimes, not sometimes, all the time on Saturday night ball games down here in the Bayou. But their winning percentage is so much higher when they play after dark. And tonight we got a full moon coming.
So you're saying things are going to get weirder?
Well, they certainly could.
Yeah.
And I have to think, though, that Les Miles is saying to his kids, look, we've got to quit getting penalized. We've got 6 in the first quarter, but they scored to go on top, which is, got to be the saving grace for them.
Yeah, and I really like that last play. They took Ridley, who doesn't play fullback, put him at fullback back, so he was closer to the line for that 4th and goal.
High spinner. This is short. Going to be taken at the 12 by Davis. Eddie Davis tries to get to the middle of the field, and he is manhandled before he gets to the 20. On Monday, 2 undefeated rivals battle for sole possession of first place in the NFC North as Green Bay takes on the Bears on ESPN Monday Night Football, 8:30 Eastern. And, of course, coverage begins at 7 Eastern with Monday Night Countdown served by Applebee's. Sean Alston in the ballgame at tailback. And we need to tell you, we will get an update on it. But the reason Noel Devine is not in the ballgame, we got word during the timeout. He may have an injury to his foot. Smith, shotgun. He's missed his last 3 passes. They run him out of the pocket. Ball is thrown complete, and he's got that one perfectly set. Just short of the first down to Jock Sanders. So this graphic here will tell you more about what has happened in the first part of the ball game in case you joined us late.
Second blocked field goal of the season against West Virginia. 55 penalty yards against 67 yards total offense. They kept going backwards, got some help with that fumble on the last one by the Mountaineers on their last drive.
Well, those of you who have been watching us on ESPN Classic, we say so long. Turn over to ESPN2. That's a look at Noel Devine on the sideline, and they're checking over that foot. 7-0 into the first quarter. Tigers.
I got the magic in me. Hey, I got that. Hey, I got the magic in me.
So we are back, second down and short yardage for West Virginia. And the straight ahead handoff not going to be close to getting back to the line of scrimmage is Ryan Clark. And as you can see, Noel Devine is good enough to come back on. Janine, you got more on the injury.
Yeah, Ron, I was watching Noel. He was sitting on the bench for close to 10 minutes while they're looking at his right foot. He's got a strain to the big toe. They were flexing it back and forth, and he was grimacing in pain. They put a special pad on the bottom of his foot and put his shoe back on, but they will continue to evaluate.
Okay, Janine, thanks so much. It is third down, and they got to have it to the 30-yard line, or they're going to have to punt this football right back to the Tigers. Play action. But as they roll the pocket, got a man, and it is picked off at the 40-yard line. Thrown just a little bit behind the intended receiver, picked off by Tyrann Mathieu. Folks, I got to tell you something. You will hear what sounds like a campaign tonight, but we watched this kid in practice on Thursday. He intercepts and picks up every fumble that ever happens.
Well, he's already forced 3 fumbles this year, 1 against North Carolina, 2 against Mississippi State. That time, he's in coverage on a tight end, which is a mismatch on speed the other way. And Geno Smith, I think, expected that it would be a linebacker covering his tight end. He threw that ball a little bit late, and Mathieu just has such a great feel for the game, and watching him in practice on film, he's a special player.
Well, as we mentioned earlier, you might not have been on with us. You might have been watching the other game. The coaches just say not only a great athlete, but well coached in high school as well, as the pass is thrown to Shepard, and Robert Sands with his second really nice open field tackle. Speaking of really good defensive players out of the secondary.
And Shepard, a guy who was a dual threat quarterback in high school in the Houston area, not really sure-handed. That time as he came out, he had to juggle it, and that allowed Sands the time to close the distance and make the tackle for a big loss.
So it's second down. And because of that big loss, they got to go all the way down to the 31-yard line. Alfred Blue is in a tailback. They will fake to him. No, he will get the ball and going for very short yardage. Now, understand one thing about this West Virginia football team. Their offense is having a little trouble getting on track tonight because of the good defense by LSU. This is a very good West Virginia defense. And I'll tell you, Bill Stewart's guys are going to rough it up with the very best of them.
And it's almost like when you're getting ready to play an option team, you only have 1 week. Well, when you're getting ready to play a defense that you don't see ever, this 3-3-5 stack that they run with a true nose guard on the center. Talking to Les Miles, he said, we hope we gave a good enough look, but you never know because we just don't see this defense in our league.
3rd and 15. Big opening. Going to have 5. Has 10. Still running and close to the first down at the 32-yard line is Stephen Ridley. And let's check in with Wendy Nix in Bristol. So we are back, and it's going to be a field goal attempt by Jasper. Does he have it? Yes. Had 5 last week against Mississippi State, and he just knocked home a 49-yarder. 10-0 Tigers. Welcome back, everybody, to the SEC on ESPN. 10-0. The LSU Tigers on top. And they prepared to kick it off. Jasper, as we said, 5 field goals last week against Mississippi State. And his first one tonight. He has been very, very good for the Tigers in the early season. This kick is returnable from the 2. Hogan. And Hogan spun around as he reaches the 20-yard line. And the Mountaineers will take over with. And now let's take a look at our FaceTime profile, brought to you by Edward Jones.
Well, nobody better to do this for than Patrick Peterson. He is so much thicker than any cornerback, an elite cornerback than I've ever seen. He's built more like a running back than he is a cornerback. Played safety in high school. He is projected to play corner, and you know, you watch him, he's able to turn his hips, but he is really thick in his lower body, and he's added the return.
221 pounds for a cornerback is not large, it's huge. Safety side. They roll the pocket. Still looking, dumps it off, and that's Sanders. And a flag comes down. They're going to say forward progress to the 19, which would be a loss of 1.
Personal foul. Illegal chop block. Number 57 offense. Penalty's half the distance to the goal line. First down.
Jeff Braun, the right tackle. That's the first penalty against the Mountaineers tonight.
Yeah, Livingston was engaged, and Braun came back and cut him. Those LSU fans remember Glenn Dorsey being illegally chopped the end of his senior year and actually being injured. So a little touchy about that penalty here in these parts, and should be.
First down as they play it over. Going to be first down at 20. Scrimmaging from their own 10. This is Ryan Clark in the backfield, along with Geno Smith. Clark gets the football, going to go for a couple, and that's it. Kelvin Shepard, the senior out of Stone Mountain, Georgia, makes the tackles. The team leader in tackles had 27 coming into this ball game tonight, and he already has recorded 4 in this fray tonight.
You know, remember John Chavis said he's probably the smartest guy he's ever coached. That time he was making a judgment with Francois, the outside linebacker, right before the snap, still went over and made the tackle.
West Virginia again tries to spread them out. Plenty of time in the play clock. Smith looking, good protection, dumps it off, and wow, what a hit from up tight. I mean, the ball is thrown to Will Johnson, the tight end, and it was Jai Eugene, a senior from St. Rose, Louisiana, who came up to take his legs right out from under him.
It is almost scary how much depth this LSU defense has. Eugene is listed as a third safety. He's in there, makes a great play. They are so deep in the secondary.
Well, we keep talking about Tyron Matthew, a true freshman, who was the number 2 right corner, but he is the nickelback also. That plays on their nickel defense, I should say. Third down, they need the 30-yard line. Ball is thrown and he's knocked away, incomplete, and it's Morris Claiborne, who had 2 interceptions last week against Mississippi State, and it will be punting time for West Virginia.
And that's the second time that Geno Smith has thrown a little bit late and a little bit behind. You cannot hold on to the ball against this defense in this league. And I think that Geno Smith right now, let's not forget who they played, Coastal Carolina, Marshall, and Maryland. This is a little different group than they're playing against, and Geno Smith needs to realize that.
Pignetti waits for the snap. Gets it. It's a good coverage kick. Going to drive back to the 40-yard line. 45, 50. He's got one man to beat. Gets the block. He's going to score. Patrick Peterson. That's going to be from 60 yards. A 48-yard punt. 60-yard return. A flag is down, and let's listen to the crowd.
Result of the play is a touchdown. After the play, unsportsmanlike conduct. Number 7. 15-yard penalty was placed on the kickoff.
Peterson struck the pose. Made famous by Desmond Howard after that return against Ohio State. A lot of people around college football saying if there's an outside dark horse for the Heisman, it's Patrick Peterson. They added the return game this year, his junior year. Second touchdown on a return on the season, had one of 89 yards against UNC in the first ball game.
Well, they had one of 44 here earlier tonight. Jasper with the extra point attempt, knocks it home. And let's take another look at Patrick Peterson and this 60-yard return.
He got nice blocking, but boy, he picks up. He doesn't have long strides, but he's gaining a lot of ground with each step.
ESPN's College Football Primetime, brought to you by BMW, the ultimate driving machine, and Farmers Insurance, Find a knowledgeable local farmers agent at farmers.com. We are insurance. We are farmers.
Established in 1847, the old Louisiana State Capitol building housed the state legislature until 1929, but it has been a museum of political history since 1990. 17-0 following that 60-yard return, and his head coach is talking to him, saying we're going to have to kick off in the 15 because of your display. And so probably a little punishment phase will come next week after doing that, because you just can't allow it to happen.
Unless
2-hour pregame show. Get all the news and latest updates from stadiums around the league right up until kickoff. That's Sunday NFL Countdown presented by IBM on ESPN Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern. 17-0. The LSU Tigers leading in this one.
37.
Smith out in the flat. They set up a screen. It's Austin. Tavon Austin. And he's one of the triplets that can fly, that they love to get in space. And very quickly, he picked up 13 yards.
And that play worked because Jock Sanders, the receiver outside on the receiver screen to Austin, got a nice cut block, got back up and recut his guy again. Nice work by Sanders, who now has a headgear issue. But Austin, a young man who was a record-breaking running back in high school, will probably move back there next year.
Straight ahead with the running play inside the 45-yard line. It's Noel Devine. It surprises me that he is back in the ballgame.
Devine, who had a toe injury on his right foot, and he does not look like he's very comfortable. You can see him kind of favoring that right foot, and doesn't have much push off. So if he's not able to go, if he's 75, 80%, we worry about having him in there.
Pressure from the outside. And he just throws it away. SEC today. Tennessee got a scare, double overtime, but they win. Arkansas gave one away at home against Alabama. Mississippi State leading Georgia. Florida winning big over Kentucky. Auburn trailing at home against South Carolina, and Ole Miss leading Fresno in the third quarter. Third down. They need to take it to the LSU 39. Tigers lead 17-0. LSU showing blitz in the middle. But they stay at home. Pressure on the quarterback. Pass is thrown incomplete. Stedman Bailey, the intended receiver, and Barkevius Mingo, redshirt freshman out of West Monroe, was the man who came in with the pressure. Barkevius is used, they say he's a pass rush specialist, and again, part of that very young group that Coach Chavis had.
Yeah, when we walked out to practice on Thursday and you watched that defensive line working together, tall, big athletes, and they go 3 and 4 deep at some positions. It's almost a little unfair.
Well, can he do it again? Patrick Peterson.
I wouldn't give him a chance, that's for sure.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm not sure I would. Here's the boot. Good coverage kick, and he runs away from it. And now it takes a West Virginia bounce, and it's going to be touched dead just inside the 15. Take a break. LSU 17, West Virginia nothing. Welcome back to the SEC on ESPN. Here's that moon we were talking about. Didn't know we were going to be able to see that tonight because of the heavy cloud cover and sprinkles of rain just before game time. But it is shining brightly above Tiger Stadium tonight, and shining on the Tigers so far. Penalties is about the only thing that they can complain at themselves about. They lead 17-0 as Ridley back in the ballgame at tailback. Running to the open side of the field and keeping the football, and boy, Jefferson really gets whacked down at the 20-yard line. It's Sidney Glover who came over to make the tackle.
Decisive there in the option, though. The pitch was taken away very quickly, put his foot in the ground, cut up the field, and that's the thing that Tiger fans and his coaches want to see. He can be a little indecisive sometime in the run game and the pass game. That time, good job cutting up the field quickly.
Good read by Robert Sands. Well coached. He came up and he was going to be there to take the pitchman out, so to speak. Second down, they need about 4. This time they want to throw. Pressure, hit. Knocked down at the 13-yard line, and it is the first sack of the night for the Mountaineers. And it's Chris Neal, redshirt senior out of Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania. And the scouts like him, and so do the linebackers, because, folks, he keeps a lot of big bodies off those linebackers.
And this is George Wright comes to the inside. It's not really, it didn't look like it was a design stunt, but George Wright gets pushed inside, and Neal does a good job. But a little flat-footed by the quarterback that time in the pocket, but a good finish of the play by Neal. And I agree, I think he is going to be an NFL guy, because that 2-gap able to control the center is a very important position in the NFL.
D'Angelo Peterson back into the lineup for the Tigers. With a slot to the left, that's who they're looking for. And he reaches high, fumbles the ball momentarily, but comes down with it at the 18-yard line. He's 6'4", and he had to use every breath of it right there. Tackled by Bowser.
And a huge stop for West Virginia. Jeff Castile, the defensive coordinator, has to be breathing a sigh of relief. If they would have gotten a drive going, gone down and gotten points out of that drive, West Virginia might have gotten run out of this building in a hurry. But now they get a stop after a nice sack by Neal and should end up with good field position.
Elton prepares to punt it away. Not very long to the near side of the field, and now takes a West Virginia bounce, goes out of bounds. Wow, up around the 47.5-yard line. So we'll take a break. 17-0 LSU. We'll be right back. We are back in Baton Rouge as the West Virginia cheerleaders try to get their guys to get something going here. You know, there are a lot of folks that come down here from West Virginia. Their band is going to perform at halftime. Right now they're down 17-0, but this is the best starting position that they have had as a blitz comes off the corner. Wide open over the middle. 50-yard line, 45 and 40 is Jock Sanders, and Jock will take it all the way down to the 40, the 35-yard line. That's good for 18 yards, and this is the point that we were making. As look as though he's going to be shaken up on the play. Tyrann Mathieu coming off the corner with the blitz.
Well, that was just a wonderful double move by Sanders. He's being covered by Ryan Baker because of the safety blitz, and they cannot afford to lose Sanders. Noel Devine already has a banged up foot. He's less than 100% trying to go. And Sanders, you talked about the triplets. That's the 2 of the 3 guys. But we were tracking on the last drive that Noel Devine, and it was mostly in pass protection, but watch how much he's favoring this right foot. Janine Edwards reported it's a right toe. Look, he just doesn't even want to push off of that. And at some point, you just have to take the young man out of the game. I know he wants to be in there, but if he can't block, especially in pass protection, you're going to have to get him out of there.
And let's check in with Janine, who has more on that.
And Ed and Ron, you are absolutely right. Devine has been in a lot of pain. I've been watching him on the sideline. Actually, they just took him to the locker room. He is getting that foot x-rayed as we speak, but they tried 3 different kinds of padding on his foot. They taped it up. He would get up and walk without his shoe, shake his head, no good. They sat him down. They undid the tape. They tried another pad. So just a minute ago, they did take him to the locker room for x-ray. So right now, he's questionable.
That's interesting. Now, Jock he's got a towel on his nose. Maybe his face mask collapsed on his face because he's got a huge face mask on there. Undoubtedly, that's what happened there. They got a first down, though, at the LSU 34. And the Mountaineers need a touchdown here before halftime to get something going. Ryan Clark barrels his way at about 6 yards, and that'll put him in good shape for a 2nd and short. The chase for NASCAR Sprint Cup continues Sunday as overall points leader Denny Hamlin races for his 7th victory of the season. The chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup at Dover. ESPN Sunday, and it's 1 o'clock Eastern Time. LSU has played 9 defensive linemen in this first half of play. We talked about the depth that Coach Chavis has to work with. But that is an example, because I'll tell you, more than a handful of them are just pups. Option play. Going to have the first down, still loose, and going down at the 18-yard line is Geno Smith.
Now Jeff Mullen, the offensive coordinator. You've got Noel Devine out. It looks like they're going to go with Ryan Clark as the one back. And they've had to bring in Brad Starks at wide receiver because Noel Devine, or excuse me, Jock Sanders went out with that nose issue. Probably his helmet, you're right, maybe slid down. Now they're going to have to go to open up their playbook and go to the option.
That run, by the way, the longest run of the night for the Mountaineers. But now they set up shop inside the 20-yard line. 17-0 LSU. Up the middle, that's Clark, and he fights his way down to around the 14-yard line. I'll tell you, it may not be what fans think is real exciting, but it is working straight up the middle, going right at them. And I keep going to the well until they took it away from me.
Well, and that's the thing that Ryan Clark gives you. Not that Noel Devine can't run between the tackles, but Clark at almost 250 pounds helped eat up almost 11 minutes in the fourth quarter against Maryland to seal that game last week.
As you could see, Jock Sanders back onto the field. It's Jock in motion to the top of your screen. And the handoff goes to Clark. And Clark close to the first down, but he's going to be short by a yard and a half as Kelvin Shepard makes his 6th tackle of the night.
And right now, this offensive line, at the top of the show, we were talking about the change they had to make with Josh Jenkins out. Eric Jobe had to move over to left guard, and Cole Bowers making his first start at right guard as a redshirt freshman. But I would think something to the outside here with their speed, though they have an extra tackle in the game.
Crowd coming to their feet. They take it to the left, and boy, the one thing you cannot do against a defense this strong and this quick. There was indecision at the line. Do I go left? Do I go? Well, right there, you're dead. And that's exactly what happened. He got nothing. Well, Livingston was the man that came through first to make the tackle.
Yeah, and with Noel Devine out, and you've got Ryan Clark, you don't have that speed. I was thinking maybe a screen, a wide receiver screen with Jock Sanders. And I think this is the right decision by Bill Stewart. But, again, don't run this straight ahead. I think this has to be something, maybe a speed.
Well, whatever you do, don't do a stutter step.
No. Now they're in a power formation. I just don't think you want to go right at LSU here.
4th down. Option play. Turns it up, and he falls forward. That second effort may have gotten it. From where the linesman is coming down with his mark, he's showing about the 8-yard line, which would be right on our yellow line and would say first down, West Virginia. Shepard and Livingston combining for the tackle.
And that's the seeming to be the go-to now, that option to the right. And the adjustment, if you're LSU, you have to make is your defensive end has to come down and go right at the quarterback. Get it out of his hand and let your speed come up, because right now the quarterback's able to keep it and turn up for positive yards.
Timeout being called by Geno Smith. We'll take it with them. 17-0. Mountaineers are threatening.
Performance.
Welcome back to Baton Rouge. If you have just joined us, 17-0, the LSU Tigers, and they got a 60-yard kick return, punt return by Patrick Peterson to give them 17 points. This is the 8th play of the West Virginia drive. They started at their own 47. It is first down, and the ball rests at the 7.5-yard line. Smith from the shotgun, throws in the flat, tries to get the middle screen going, and the hit on Jock Sanders, it's just not going to go. I'll say a gain of 2 yards of the play. He's down at the 5.5.
And I think LSU with 3 timeouts, if I were them, I'd go ahead and start taking those. Why not give your offense some time if you're able to get the ball back? Seems like you're going to waste those if, let West Virginia try to score and cut this lead while the half runs out.
Johnson Flips from the right side over to the left to tight end. Play action again. Got a man over the middle, and boy, did he overthrow him. And you can see Stedman Bailey is saying, I had a touchdown here. That ball is about 2.5 feet lower.
Yeah, Bailey was wide open, standing just beyond the goal line. And Geno Smith, his former teammate in high school, just was inaccurate on that throw. Now
Jeff Mullen had the right idea.
Yes,
he had
did.
the right play dialed up, and it was just too tall. It's now 3rd down. Tavon Austin in motion. Now Sanders. Sets, far sideline, got the pass complete. There's a touchdown, Stedman Bailey. So they gave him a second opportunity. This time he was just as open as the play before, but the pass is thrown true, and the Mountaineers are on the scoreboard here in Baton Rouge.
That was a really nice route by Bailey. Just a speed cut, out cut, and Bailey and Smith came as a package deal from down in Florida. 3 touchdown catches in the last game and a half for Bailey. He's starting to step up his game as a redshirt freshman.
Bittenkurt to attempt the extra point. And the kick is right down the middle. So one more look at this play as they go to number 10, Stedman Bailey.
And working against Matthew. Matthew slips. Good job. He runs in like he's going to run the slant, comes back out, and because Matthew slips, he's wide open.
So the score by the Mountaineers, it is now 17-7, and let's go to Wendy Nix in Bristol.
Ron, thank you very much. Coming up on the Outback Steakhouse halftime report, we'll take a look at the SEC showdown in Auburn. Boise State trying to remain perfect, hosting Oregon State, and Alabama rolls on. I'm joined by Todd McShay and Robert Smith. Coming up on the Outback Steakhouse halftime report.
10-point lead now for the LSU Tigers. Offensively, as we look up there at the totals, West Virginia, they are out yardaged against, they're at 120 yards. The Tigers are only at 80, but special teams
and turnovers
have made the difference in the ball game.
But what a nice job by Bailey. And that was a talented cornerback. And Matthew, did you see when Matthew fell, how quickly he got up? He still almost had coverage, even though he slipped and fell.
Corey Smith with the kickoff, and it is high and short, taken at the 25 up the near sideline. And boy, nobody protecting out there on the wing. And Ron Brooks caught the ball on the dead run and took it back almost to midfield.
Now with 42 seconds and 3 timeouts, you've got to be careful about any runs or anything, but you got those 3 timeouts.
And the big thing is you got to take a shot or two as we look at the AP top 10. But the most important thing is with this field goal kicker, you've only got to have a couple of medium range shots that are completed, and you can get 3 more points to go in at halftime with. Try to set up a middle screen, and I mean that is messed up big time. Incomplete. Tolliver, the intended receiver, and it was Julian Miller, the right defensive end out of Columbus, Ohio, who came up and just really put the wood on Tolliver. And Jack Marucci, the trainer for the Tigers, comes out immediately to help Tolliver off the field.
And you know, you heard some grumbling from this crowd because that play just took forever to develop, and it was almost a sack, which would have been disastrous.
2nd and 10, good protection, gets it away, has a man, and the ball is dropped. That's James Wright. He's from Bell Chase, a freshman.
Well, you know, you've got a quarterback who's struggling in his development. He had 3 drops last week against Mississippi State. I believe that's the 2nd drop tonight. These young receivers are not helping. As a matter of fact, it was an older receiver. Well, I don't blame Jefferson. That was a first down and out of bounds.
But you know what you got to do? You got to be positive, particularly with a freshman. You know, don't show him up in front of the crowd. Go over and clap your hands and say, hey, get it next time, dadgummit. Hit from behind. Ball delivered. Incomplete. He was looking for D'Angelo Peterson.
Well, And you can hear the crowd a little bit, and I don't blame them. This is just a bad series they get.
Well, Brandon Hogan that time coming with the blitz, it was the perfect defensive call. And with the pressure from behind, he didn't have much of a prayer of getting this away. Watch Hogan come out of nowhere. Number 22 right there.
Well,
bam.
And Jefferson just had no idea that was coming. You've got to see it. You've got to know that you don't have protection to that side and know that that's coming. But to have to punt this away with such good field position and 3 timeouts, a huge disappointment for LSU.
Here comes a pooch kick. And it's going to hit at the 20 and wide, fielded at the 10-yard line. And then stepping out of bounds is Brandon Hogan. Well, time now to take a look back at our protection spotlight, brought to you by Castrol GTX.
Well, and not a whole lot of drop back passes, but this time the offensive line does a good job. The ball comes out very quickly. There was a little stunt up front by LSU's defensive line, but Geno Smith and his former high school teammate Stedman Bailey hooked up. Good timing route that time. As soon as Smith saw that Matthew had slipped, he threw it right as Bailey came out of his break.
Well, here is absolutely the smart thing to do. Geno Smith's going to take a knee, and that'll be the final play of this first half. 12 seconds down to 11, and they'll head to the locker room as West Virginia cut a 17-point margin down to 10, so they got some positive things to talk about at halftime. And here comes Janine. She's going to be visiting with Bill Stewart. Janine, let's go down to you.
Coach, it seems like it took a little while for your offense to kind of find its rhythm. How can you capitalize on some of the positives that we've seen late in this half?
Well, just do what you said, capitalize on it. We had a nice drive, put points on the board. We lost number 7 on that out-of-bounds hit. I don't know what his status is. Hope he gets back. If not, we'll just rally the troops and keep fighting.
Yeah, how do you find someone to step up if he can't go? We hear he's getting x-rayed right now. What's the game plan to compensate for that?
They're Mountaineers. They'll step up.
We'll see you second half. Thanks.
That's a great answer by Bill Stewart. I'm going to tell you now, this is a prideful guy at a prideful school. And, you know, they're not to the SEC on ESPN, where our score is LSU 17 at West Virginia 7. Patrick Peterson. He had the big home run in the first half. A return of 60 yards for a touchdown of a punt. One of the big difference makers in that first 30 minutes of play. Again, a short kick going to be taken at the 27-yard line and returned back to the 38. So the interesting thing, it is LSU leading by 10 points at halftime, but when you look at the numbers, which we'll show you in just a minute, defensively, if I'm West Virginia and held somebody to 80 yards and a half, I'm pretty doggone happy.
And it's all about turnovers and that punt return, and of course Peterson had another big return on a kickoff as well, so that's been really the difference for West Virginia. And losing Noel Devine, which I will be shocked if we see him in the second half. You know, I know Bill Stewart said that they're going to be a Mountaineer and step up, but we are going to have to see who's going to be the guy. I believe it'll be Ryan Clark there in the backfield.
Clement in motion, and the handoff goes to Ridley. And Ridley still fighting. He's going to have a first down on a second and also a third effort. And it'll be wind up being a gain of about 13 yards. Here are the numbers, Ed.
Yeah, 10 points off of turnovers, LSU. 10 points off of West Virginia's 2 turnovers. And that average start position is just unbelievable.
Look at third downs. Both teams over.
Yeah, both defenses have been playing pretty well. Of course, LSU hurt itself with penalties and some drop passes, which didn't help.
From the 49, pass to the sideline, thrown very high. And, boy, this is when your receivers come back and say, do me a favor, I want to play the rest of this year. Please don't throw the ball like that.
Yeah. and the crowd, again, starts to get a little restless. And this is
Tandy, who had the interception earlier tonight, stopping a really big LSU drive early on.
And that was Ridley in motion, so a receiver having to go up that high. I want to hit them down low and give them a chance to make a move in the open field.
2nd and 10. Here's the pitch. This is Blue. Alfred Blue does turn the corner, steps out of bounds at around the 45, and there is a flag back at the 47-yard line. I think we're going to have a hold against
Holding. Number 10 offense.
Yep, that's Russell Shepard,
2nd down.
the wide receiver.
Man, you know, you start to think about LSU getting back into SEC play. Of course, they played Mississippi State last week and won. But you mentioned they had to have those 5 field goals early in the game, which was a school record for Josh Jasper. But you look at this offense and the SEC West, Alabama sneaks one in today against Arkansas. But, with this offense, they've got the defense to compete. They're just going to need something offensively to hang their hat on, and they just don't have it. Maybe they just need to become a power running game, because it looks like with Ridley and Blue, and once they get Murphy back, maybe they'll be able to do that.
Notice Ridley in motion, and that's the fullback Stampley behind the quarterback. He's there to pick up the block, and running with the football is Jordan Jefferson. And again, some mixed emotions coming from the crowd, meaning the reason they're mixed, they don't agree.
Well, the reason that the coaches from LSU talk about Jordan Jefferson as their quarterback instead of Jarrett Lee is because of the size and his speed. But he's indecisive as a runner sometimes. He had a 16-yard touchdown last week against Mississippi State that was very decisive. But it's runs like that the crowd starts to think, well, wait, if we're not going to even have the run game, maybe we've got to start giving Lee a shot.
LSU 0 for 5 on 3rd down conversions tonight. They're going to take it down to the West Virginia 39. Pass intercepted. This could be a pick 6. At the 30, at the 25, and tripping over his own man is Ian Smith. And now here comes a flag down. What in the world is this? For throwing the ball up in the air in celebration.
Well, that's just as...
For the return team. 15-yard penalty. 1st down.
Well, that's just not a smart play by Smith. You know, you make a huge play on a bad throw and a bad decision by Jordan Jefferson. He just locked into the receiver to that side. Smith, playing the safety, just read his eyes the whole way. I mean, Jefferson's locked on. There's nowhere else he's going with the ball, and tries to fit it into his tight end, D'Angelo Peterson. But this is, and he trips on Sands there, but that's just not smart by Smith. You got the ball down around the 15-yard line. Now you're out to the 30. That's really harmful.
Well, in the first half, we had the Heisman pose, which caused a 15-yard penalty. And now West Virginia comes up with a similar situation. And I think head coaches need to just take the guy aside and say, look, I don't care how good you are, what you've just done. That is selfish. Don't do it anymore. And give them reason not to do it. This pass over the middle, that's Austin. Tavon Austin trying to get free, and he does around the corner. And I'm telling you, once you get him in space, I mentioned early in the ballgame, you just, boy, you make the mistake to do it, and he is gone. That's 18 yards that he picks up on a play that probably should have been stopped after what, a couple?
Yeah, he's so explosive. He came in as a running back because of Noel Devine. He moved to slot receiver last year. They moved him out to wide receiver this year because of Jock Sanders.
Devine back in the ballgame, and a quick pass as they go hurry up, and that's Jock Sanders, and he's going to take it in for the touchdown for West Virginia. And the happiest person on the sideline is Ian Smith, thinking, Lord, I am grateful. And I think he's apologizing to Bill right there. You know,
well, and that was just an excellent block by Tavon Austin. As soon as Sanders caught the ball, he got a great block downfield that sprung Sanders for the touchdown.
Bittenkirk, extra point, and he's got it. Wow. What did the head coach, Bill Stewart, say just before halftime? He told Janine, don't worry about it. The Mountaineers will take care of business, and that's exactly what they've done. So following a turnover, Sanders scores.
College football in high definition is presented by Vizio.
And we're back in Baton Rouge and some developments. Look at the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. Jarrett Lee just put on his headgear and reached in the bag and pulled out a football. And from the looks of the expression in the upper right-hand corner of Jordan Jefferson, I think it's going to be Lee who's going to come in the ballgame. Kickoff from the goal line. This is Claiborne at the 20, and then knocked out of bounds at the 25.
And in talking to the coaches yesterday,
listen to the response from this crowd now. This will be interesting.
They're not afraid to put Lee in. He dedicated himself during the offseason. He lost some weight, had a great spring. A lot of people thought coming out of fall camp he may have been named the starter. But wow, put Jefferson back out there. I'm a little surprised by that, frankly.
Well, boy, they started to cheer because they had seen him warming up, and then boos came when Jordan Jefferson came back out. From the 25. Ridley. And Janine, let's check in with you down on the sideline.
Well, Ron, the update on Noel Devine is that the x-rays at halftime were negative, and they worked on his foot with a lot of massaging because it is a strained tendon under the big toe. They replaced the padding they had taken off, and they re-wrapped his foot, but they said it's a touch-and-go situation. They don't know how long or how far he'll go. And also at halftime, I spoke to Coach Miles, and this is exactly what he was afraid of. He said, guys, we cannot let our guard down and let these Mountaineers sneak back into this thing. He said that to his team just as they took the field.
Well, Bill promised it just before halftime. And I'm a great believer in Bill because I love his enthusiasm, and so does his team. That's hesitating with the ball for a moment as Jefferson then turns it up.
And let's be fair here. You know, this isn't all on Jordan Jefferson. He's had a couple of drop balls. He had 3 drop balls last week against Mississippi State, 2 that looked like touchdowns, 1 that was for sure a first down. This is not all this young man's doing, but this offense has no identity whatsoever. They're a decent run team. They're over 200 yards rushing per game coming into tonight's ball game. But this crowd knows they've got a defense that can win an SEC championship, but this offense is not going to be very helpful right now.
Third down, they need the 35. Pass thrown complete. Got the first down and more. That's Randall. Ruben Randall, and I wondered when they were going to get the ball to him, because just as important as 1, 7, and 9 are for West Virginia, so is Ruben Randall. He is only a sophomore out of Bastrop, Louisiana.
And a huge cushion. Good read by the quarterback. He saw the cushion being given by Broderick Jenkins. And I'm not sure why you'd play that far off on third and medium.
On first down, they roll the pocket. It's tipped and falls harmlessly down, and tipping the ball was Najee Good.
And, Josh Taylor almost got a present there in his belly, but he wasn't able to pull that in. There's Good coming off the edge. And
number 52.
Yeah. And it was not much of a cut block effort by the freshman Blue, and Good did a really nice job of keeping his balance.
Well, you can see a few coaches or wannabe coaches in the state.
Yeah, there's about 80,000 of them here, I think.
92, would you take that?
Yeah.
Second down from the 49. Straight ahead, and this is Ridley. And Ridley will take it to the 49 of the Mountaineers. Now it's going to be third down, and West Virginia has an opportunity to bring in that third down defense, third down and long.
Yeah, and here comes the speed rushers. Number 11 for West Virginia. Bruce Irvin can come off the edge with the best of them. Had 3 sacks last week against Maryland. So
keep an eye on number 2, Robert Sand. A very good athlete, a very long athlete at 6'5", playing the safety spot. Pass over the middle, and it's caught at the 45. Randall again. But it's going to be short on the first down. Now, a moment ago, the route that he ran, he had already cleared the first down marker before the ball was thrown. This time, he was 2 yards behind it. And with the defense closing.
Yeah, and Jefferson just got a little hurried there. He had protection. Bruce Irvin was locked up nicely by the left tackle, Barksdale. And he came off the deeper routes beyond the sticks too soon. It was open, but you just got to know, if I'm going to dump that off, the chances of picking up the first down are very slim.
This is Jasper who will punt it away. And Brandon Hogan is the deep man, number 22 for the Mountaineers. He runs away from it, and it is caught and then dropped into the end zone. If he catches that ball at the 1 yard line, that's where it's dead. 43 yards on the kick. Graff downed it. Let's take a timeout. Built in 1959 as a wholesale produce business, Tony's Seafood in Baton Rouge has been known to sell as much as 50,000 pounds of crawfish in a single day. Folks, that is a lot of mud bugs. Well, Noel Devine. Maybe they found the right cushion for his right big toe. Back in the lineup. Well, they fake it to him, and now thrown for a loss. Sam Montgomery comes across to take down Geno Smith.
And that is what they didn't do in that first half against the option. Fake handoff to Devine, but that time Montgomery went right to the quarterback and got there before he could pitch it. Remember, they didn't force the pitch in the first half.
Second and 12. They give it to Devine. No place to run up the middle. No place to run outside. And he is going to be flipped out. And that was a tackle by the face mask. How about that? It should have been a third down and an absolute acre. And now a 15-yard penalty is going to give West Virginia a brand new set of downs.
And Barkevius Mingo just reached out. Mingo just hustling over to try to make the tackle. Nothing dirty here. Just got his hand up high on that face mask and spun Devine around. Devine moving okay on that. He still looks a little flat-footed. I'm not convinced he's anywhere close to 100%. But a big break for West Virginia.
Well, for those of you who have not seen LSU play this year, if you want any kind of assessment on their defense, what you just saw when 8 players wound up breaking to the outside to tackle Noel Devine, it tells you something about team speed and gang tackle. And they had both of those. First down. Quick pass. They throw the look in. Flag is down. And I'll tell you, defenders had read that before the ball was even from the hands of Geno Smith.
On the offense. 5-yard penalty. First down.
I want to welcome the people that might have been watching the Boise State and Oregon State game. Our situation is 17-14 LSU. LSU led by 17-0. And now the Mountaineers have come back with 14 unanswered points. Ron Franklin along with Ed Cunningham and Janine Edwards here in a jam-packed house in Baton Rouge. Well, the penalty is declined, so it's 2nd and 10. Smith showing his escapability. Looking, still looking, runs out of bounds. Going to be no gain on the play. Wendy Nix, let's check with you back in Bristol.
Ryan, thank you very much. We have a final from Auburn, Alabama. South Carolina here. Connor Shaw in at QB for the Gamecocks, but this does not work out. Certainly not what he had in mind. Intercepted in the end zone. And Auburn, who had been outplayed for much of this one, wins 35-27. Boise State winners over Oregon State 37-24.
Wendy, thank you. Our situation, 3rd down and 10. West Virginia as they scrimmage from their own 32-yard line. 7.5 minutes and counting here in the 3rd quarter. And this is when this stadium becomes such an asset for the home team. A timeout is called by Geno Smith. Wow, it got really noisy. We'll be right back. Got to take it out to the 42-yard line if they want to hold on to the football. Boy, LSU strung out across the field with what appears to be bump coverage on the receivers. Pressure, far sideline, ball is knocked away and almost intercepted. Morris Claiborne, 2 interceptions last week against Mississippi State, and tonight he is proving why he did that performance last week.
Well, you mentioned the bump coverage. It was one-on-one across the board, and this ball thrown flat by Geno Smith, and Claiborne just plays the ball perfectly.
Let me tell you, if Austin doesn't play defensive back, that ball might have been intercepted. You're right.
Yeah, that ball, you need to get a little more air and distance on that ball, or underthrow it so your receiver can come back to it.
Bugnetti prepares to kick it away to the Tigers. Reuben Randall is the deep man. Fair catch is being signaled for, and it is made. Sunday Night Baseball and the hunt for October continues on ESPN with a battle in the American League East as the Boston Red Sox look to play the role of the spoiler against their arch rivals, the Yankees. Sunday Night Baseball presented by Taco Bell, part of Lee Jeans, the hunt for October on ESPN at ESPN3.com at 8 Eastern.
I didn't know you were led into this building without LSU gear on. Young man wearing a Yankees cap. Thought that was one of the rules.
He could be a friend of Jack Marucci, the trainer for the LSU Tigers. And we'll get into that story in a moment. You don't know. This guy's the football trainer, but he is one guy who really loves baseball. Here comes pressure. Jefferson rolls out to his right, going to keep it and step out of bounds. And I think he's going to wind up losing about a yard as Najee Good pushed him out.
And Patrick Peterson just came out of the locker room. I was wondering why he was not in on that punt return. But he's a young man who's struggled with cramps since he started playing football and Pee-wee football. Possibly had to go in and get an IV or something, but I was wondering why he was not back there.
Reuben on Thursday always try to go out early and watch the special teamers, and Reuben is the other punt return guy, and he was out there working on the same thing. Really good hands and also a lot of quickness, but not as accomplished as number 7. Not yet. Straight ahead to running play. Has 5, has 10. Counted off at about 16 yards for Stephen Ridley. Robert Sands, the big free safety, comes up to make the tackle.
Well, Ridley is a guy who's bided his time, finally in his 4th year as a junior gets a chance, and he is making the most of it. 3rd in the SEC at over 100 yards per game, and he's running like a man possessed every time he gets the ball. He seems to get 6, 7, 8 yards after contact in this game.
We mentioned that he's from Natchez, played at Trinity Episcopal. And he hand the ball off to him, this time on a sweep. He'll be knocked down for a loss of 1. I'll tell you a funny story that he related with us yesterday when we had our meeting. He said that Trinity Episcopal had so few players that the team was so small that they would dress out people that didn't even play just to have bodies.
They'd have junior high schoolers come out and line up on their sideline.
But he said 16 to 18 players, and that was about it. But Ridley also a very, very good student. And he said that, you know, one of the reasons both he and his brother went there is their mom was extremely conscious about academia and the part it had to play in their life. Going to go on top. Got a man. And there is contact. 2 flags come down. That's Russell Shepard, the intended receiver. And that's going to be Brandon Hogan, who got his feet tied up with him.
Pass interference. Number 22 in the defense. 15-yard penalty and an automatic first down.
So hard for Hogan. And we just got a report that it was a bathroom break for Peterson, was not cramps. Well, that looks to me like incidental contact. And look, I know his legs got tied up with Shepard, but he's in great coverage. He's running stride for stride. If the legs get tied up, that did not look like pass interference to me.
Russell Shepard was a quarterback at Cy Ridge High School in Houston, Texas, and in fact was given the touchdown award, which is a huge thing for the Houston Touchdown Club. That you were picked over literally thousands of kids in that area as a quarterback. But when he came here, changed his mind, wanted to play wide receiver. Deep pass over the middle. This time, knocked down, almost intercepted by Kevin Tandy. Tandy already has 1 pick on the night, and he came really close to getting a second.
Well, on top of your screen, the ball needs to be thrown right now. And that ball hangs in the air, and Tandy has time to come underneath the receiver, Tolliver.
Well, and
almost hangs on.
That's a nice play by Tandy.
But if you're going to throw that, you have to throw it before your receiver puts his outside foot in the ground to cut in, because once that cornerback turns, it's very easy to run underneath of that route. A little bit of a late ball.
Alfred Blue comes into the lineup at running back. That's D'Angelo Peterson in motion, and they bring the option to the open side of the field and held on to it to the 45-yard line. Pat Lazier made the tackle, senior out of Bethesda, Maryland.
First action this year for Pat, had a bone bruise on his knee. Second team All Big East last year, so good to have him back.
Yeah, he really hasn't played,
no,
has he?
Not much at all.
And they were very pleased that they were getting another body back along with Brandon Hogan to play in the defense.
Well, you got three receivers to the top, and you've got the guy who's kind of the go-to guy, Russell Shepard, in the middle. I would think wide receiver screen here.
Pass coming back toward the middle. Gonna have the first down. That's Randall. Reuben Randall.
That was a nice job by Randall. Broke off his route right at the stick so that when he caught it, all he had to do was fall forward. They're going to run Shepard off. Randall comes in. Good physical contact. In college football, you can make contact with the receiver anywhere on the field as long as you're next to them or in front of them before the ball is thrown.
You could see Jenkins trying to buck him down, but he was unable to do so. Randall actually a really nice sized receiver at 6'4", almost 210 pounds. They come back into the boundary near sideline, and crowd
they're not
is not in love with that play.
No, I don't blame them.
Monday, two undefeated rivals battle for sole possession of the first place. The NFC North as Green Bay takes on the Chicago Bears in ESPN's Monday Night Football, 8:30 Eastern. Coverage is going to begin at 7 Eastern with Monday Night Countdown, and that is, of course, served by Applebee's.
Now here's where Gary Croton can come off the chart. You know, 2nd and 7. Feels like a rundown most of the time, but they're in that kind of modified pistol formation. Maybe we'll see a pass, pocket pass.
Hands it off to Ridley. Left side has 5, has 10. He'll have the first down at the 21-yard line. And I'll tell you, running straight ahead. It's a nice job, DeRosick. Lonergan, the center.
Well, the way this young man is running between the tackles, this is something you can start building an offense around, because what this does is watch the safeties. There's Sands coming down. There's the other safety, Sidney Glover, having to come over. Those types of plays can start setting up your play action pass.
Well, this is a handoff to Shepard, and the wide receiver gets the in sweep and takes it for a gain. Wow, that's going to be 9 yards in the play.
You know, Ron, you were telling the story about Russell Shepard being a quarterback out of Houston, and it was about midway through last year where he went to the coaches. It's usually the other way around, where they say, hey, we're not sure you're going to work out at quarterback, why don't you switch to receiver? And he actually asked, as Robert Sands, unfortunately for West Virginia,
boy. Now that's
they can't
tough.
lose him.
Nope, that's just like losing number 7 on the offensive side. 10th play of the drive coming up. This all started back at the 23. We'll get a report on Sands. Well, here they come with an option again. Going to cut it back into the middle. And that'll be enough for the first down. But you're right. That's an interesting thing, because the youngster came to the head coach and said, you know, I just want the football. And his head coach said, that's what we want too. We want you handling the football.
Well, and he had a long way to go as a quarterback. He was more of a running guy in high school. He was working on becoming a better passer, but he knew he had so much work to do. As a matter of fact, he wears number 10 because of Vince Young, who is, of course, from Houston. Pretty good guy to emulate, but he just knew that he was going to be a better help for this team, playing kind of a utility wide receiver.
That's good news, I think, because Sands was not being attended to across the way. Maybe it's just a mix. Ridley, nothing doing this time. That's the entire left side of the defensive line for West Virginia mounted a huge attack, and they stop him for nothing. Josh Taylor led the way. Josh, really a very versatile guy, a redshirt junior out of Miramar, Florida, which of course is a suburb of Miami. But he can play either tackle. And in this day and time, these defensive coordinators, particularly early in the year when it's so warm, they try to play 9 and 10 defensive tackles and ends if they can.
And with Robert Sands back in the game, remember, he was gimpy. Over there in coverage. I want to try to attack that area right up in here.
Just the 12th play of the drive. 6 minutes already consumed. Looking, gets the pass away and knocked down, and that's Glover, who almost came up with an interception, and they already had one back in the first quarter in the same area of the field.
Well, just a lazy throw that time by Jefferson on his run to the left. Was trying to come down to D'Angelo Peterson. Great coverage actually by Sands, because they were looking right in that area, and Peterson had broken off his route, but unfortunately Glover was there, and not for the Mountaineers, unfortunately not able to come up with that pick.
Okay, so as they break the huddle with a 3rd down and goal from the 9, Alfred Blue, number 24, is the tailback, and Russell Shepard, number 10, in at wide receiver. Looking back over the middle, throws it complete. That's Randall, and good job defensively by the Mountaineers to stop him short of the 5-yard line. Yeah, good, along with Anthony Leonard on the stop.
And you've got the most accurate kicker in the history of your school. You've got great defense. You take the 3, put the pressure back on West Virginia. Jeff Castile, the defensive coordinator, after that long drive, has to be very happy that LSU's running out their field goal unit.
That is the end of the 3rd quarter. So we'll take a look and see if the Tigers can extend it to 6 after this timeout.
Welcome back to the SEC on ESPN. College football lives here.
The LSU cheerleaders hoping that their Tigers can pick up 3 more, and look at that, a full moon on a Saturday night in Baton Rouge. Does that mean strange things are to happen before this night's over? Probably. This is going to be a 23-yard attempt. Jasper got him lined up. Good pass. Obviously plenty of distance, and I'll tell you, he is automatic. So the new score, 20-14, and now a 6-point lead after LSU had led by as many as 17. Let's talk about West Virginia. What do you do if you're Bill and his staff? I mean, they have done a huge turnaround. They didn't do much in the first quarter and a half. Now, more prosperous.
Yeah, and they've really only had one sustained drive, and Noel Devine is injured. I know he's trying to play, but he doesn't look 100%. I almost think you've got to get him out of the game and put this game in Geno Smith's hand, the quarterback. Remember, he led 2 almost 100-yard drives at the end of the game against Marshall to put that into overtime. Granted, this is not Marshall they're playing, but see what Geno Smith can do, because right now I think it's all about getting the ball to Austin and Jock Sanders, because I just don't think Noel Devine has the foot to be able to push off it with that right toe injury.
Plus the fact you don't want to jeopardize the rest of the season as far as he is concerned.
And what does that mean with Geno Smith? I think you don't want to stand in the pocket too much. You still want to move around. You still want to do your screens, all of those things. But the guy that I think should be back there, Ryan Clark, a 250-pounder, can help pick up some of those blitzes a little better than a banged-up 180-pound Devine.
Plus the fact, keep one thing in mind. That last drive by LSU, we're going to get the final tally on it, but I think it went like 7.5 minutes. It took a long time. That big pounding fullback would be really what the doctor ordered as far as keeping your defense off the field. This return comes to the 25. And let's take a look back at our Chick-fil-A drive recap. And this is going to give me the answer coming up right here.
7 minutes, 7 seconds. So just methodical.
7, I thought.
Yeah,
even longer than I thought.
Few options.
So what you got to do right here for sure is you got to pick up at least 1 first down. You don't want 3 and out and have that defense have to come right back out there. Because when you start doing that, you're playing, it is later as far as your time clock is concerned, and a late start in the ball game, you're asking for mistakes. Devine spins off one, still spinning, and he's going to take it across the 35 to the 37-yard line. Now, folks, that is fortitude personified right there.
Unbelievable.
12.
And good stop and start. I mean, this is a guy that ran for 1,465 yards last year, 1,289 yards the year before. He's the country's leading active rusher. But let's not forget that toe. He could barely push off it in the first half.
Geno Smith wants to throw this time right over the middle. Ball tipped. And oh, that was almost intercepted by Brandon Taylor.
This has been a game that has not been all about offense, as a LSU defender is down 146 yards at the end of the half, end of three quarters, excuse me, for West Virginia. 188 yards for LSU. And it's been turnovers, a kicking game. Peterson had the punt return of 60 yards for the touchdown. Average drive start for LSU was at midfield at halftime, so at least it's come back 7 yards.
So let's take a timeout as we tend to the injured player. Which is indeed good news. Mountaineers with good field position following a 12-yard run by Noel Devine. Smith now with an audible. Hey, with 94,000 plus start making noise, that's got to be very difficult to do. Here comes a blitz. Gets it away. Over the middle, throws completed. Now here comes a late flag in. Tavon Austin caught the ball at the 40.
Personal foul. Roughing the passer. Number 49 on the defense. Illegal contact to the helmet. 15-yard penalty with an automatic first down.
Or Barkevius Mingo with his second
big
major
penalty.
mistake.
Yeah. Well, and Eric Jobe, the left guard, got tangled up and was slow getting up after that. Remember, they're already light on the offensive line with Josh Jenkins out. And Jobe kicking that right foot, but that was, you're right, another big penalty on Mingo.
So big doings now at the 45-yard line of LSU. Devine tries to find a place to turn it upfield, and it's going to wind up with about 3 yards, and that's it. Wendy Nix, an update on Oregon.
That's correct. The number 6 Ducks and Arizona State. Oregon had the lead, but it's 14-7 here. Stephen 3 to Mike Willie. The connection will ultimately tie it up at 14, but Arizona State's kicked a field goal, leads by 3.
Back to our field of play, and not much doing in that running play. It'll be a couple by Noel Devine. Kelvin Shepard, who had 8 tackles at halftime. And he now has 10 on the ball game. He's the guy that gets them lined up, calls the signals, and you can see him talking to everybody on the defense. He's the leader over there. Third down, line to make, the 35 of LSU. Tigers lead it by 6. Pass caught for the first down at the 30-yard line. J.D. Woods. He's a new face as well. Redshirt freshman, Naples, Florida. Good for 10.
What a nice job by the offensive line. You know, coming into this game, we thought we'd hear a bunch from Drake Nevis. He's been stoned at the line of scrimmage. And on that one, Joe Madsen, the center, locked him out. Nevis, 2 weeks in a row, the SEC Defensive Lineman of the Week, hasn't made much noise at all.
You see a stacked receiver set at the bottom of your screen. It's Sanders in motion. And they get the ball out quickly. Thrown kind of hard. It was caught to Noel Devine, and not pointing an accusatory finger at Geno Smith, but had he thrown it with a little more touch, then he would have been able to turn up. Because back in the first half, Ed made mention of something that John Chavis, the defensive coordinator, said. The dangerous thing about West Virginia is they hit their receivers many times on the dead run, which makes it far more difficult on a defender. That time he had a dead run, but he threw him a fastball instead of a nice tender one. The LSU Tigers all over the place defensively, and that play is going to lose 3 yards. Ryan Baker, number 22, leading the charge.
But, you know, going back to that play, if Devine was healthy, I think he could have stopped himself from going out of bounds.
Yeah,
probably. I give him all the credit in the world, but he's just not 100% right now.
That's what do you put on the brakes with? Your big toe.
Yeah, exactly.
And one of his brakes needs realignment right now. 3rd down. They need to take it to the 20. LSU by 6. Mountaineers trying to come back. Pressure off the middle. Ball thrown, and did he get it? No. Couldn't hold on Jock Sanders. And I'll tell you, that was a masterful job by Geno Smith just to get the football away, because he had pressure coming from both sides.
Well, and a really good try. Sanders can't quite make the catch. And, you know, this is, to me, dangerous territory for a field goal, because this is right on the edge of Bittencourt's, his range. And remember, he drove that ball against Marshall. He had one blocked. It got blocked here and blocked earlier. Careful here.
This is going to be a 48-yard attempt. Got plenty of distance. Did he get it? Crowd is cheering. They say no. Wide left. Tiger lead maintained at 6. We'll be right back. Under the night lights, I guess he doesn't like the full moon. His ball club is leading, though, 20-14, and the clock right now showing 10:41 left to play in our ball game. And this crowd up on their feet, particularly the student section, continuing to make noise. This is going to be an end around. Russell Shepard, the wide receiver, he'll step out of bounds at around the 37.
And to me, this is where LSU gets super conservative. Nice run there. Picks up almost 4. But this, to me, Stephen Ridley time. This is where the defense is starting to get a little worn out. It's kind of warm here for West Virginia. 7-minute drive, the drive before. Start leaning on the big guys up front. Ridley's been running hard. Feed him the ball.
You see Ridley looking around. He's not tipping off where he's going, is he? Nope. Cuts it back up. He broke a tackle. That should have been a no gain on the play, and he wound up picking up 5 yards. Janine, let's check with you down on the sideline.
Well, Ron, just to pick up on what you and Ed were just saying, defensive coordinator for West Virginia, Jeff Castile, was livid with his defense, and he reminded them before they took to the field just now. He said, guys, are they wearing you down? Well, you better start gutting it out, because these Tigers are running the ball up one side of you and down the other.
Well, they're going to get more and more of that, Janine. 3rd and short. I don't think there's going to be no surprise.
And LSU has the combination on this particular strategy, no question about it, because Ridley is very, very tough when he takes that ball in between the tackles. And this time they bring in a fullback to guarantee that they pick up the 3rd and short. And he's going to have it. And still fighting. He's going to pick it up +1. That's Anthony Leonard who will make the tackle. Now I think you can look for more of the same of the Tigers.
Yes. And look, this is what you have. You know, you don't have a great passing game. Even when your quarterback's on, your receivers tend to drop it. Then your quarterback gets in his head a little bit. So this is what you have. You have a great defense. You have now, with Peterson returning punts and kicks, you have great special teams. So this is where you need to grind it out. This is the type of team that LSU is going to be.
D'Angelo Peterson, who resets, number 19, along with Clement. Rolling, still rolling, and he just throws it away. Chris Berman hosts ESPN's popular 2-hour pregame show. Get all the news and the latest updates from stadiums around the league right up until kickoff. Sunday NFL Countdown, that's presented by IBM on ESPN Sunday, and that is at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Almost 11 o'clock in Baton Rouge. Ron Franklin, Ed Cunningham, Janine Edwards coming to you from 94,000 plus Tiger Stadium in Baton Rouge. 9:09 left to play in the ball game, and the Tigers want to call a timeout. So we'll take the break with them. 20-14 LSU. Institute of Higher Learning in the state of Louisiana. and also is celebrating its 150th year anniversary. The Tiger majorette team there. Looking, got a man and throws it short. They had intended for Russell Shepard. And the difficult thing is right over the middle, Stephen Ridley, his fullback, had just camped out and nobody was around him.
Well, you know, this time in the game, not sure why you would get away from the run game. You try the screen, then you try a drop back pass. Both of those incomplete, stop the clock. Ridley getting up towards 100 yards rushing, starting to wear down this West Virginia defense, and now you're stuck in a place where you have to throw it, and you're allowing West Virginia to hang around instead of melting the clock.
Well, that stopped the clock with 9 minutes and 5 seconds left. Here comes pressure. Good call defensively, and the ball underthrown because he had to rush. Reuben Randall, the intended receiver.
Well, that says it all right there. You know, these fans, they know their ball. There's no two ways about it in this part of the country. And they're looking at this team and they see a dynamic player like Patrick Peterson, who is electric now in two phases of the game, both on defense and in returns, and just feel like if they can get something going on offense, they're going to be in thick of it in the SEC West, especially after what we saw today.
There's a line drive kick, and it's going to hit and is going to go out of bounds inside the 10-yard line. Helton with a great job there. Well, celebrating its 6-year sponsoring the Good Hands Field Goal Nets, Allstate makes contributions to participating universities' general scholarship funds for each field goal and extra point kick. And to date, Allstate has contributed more than $2.2 million in scholarship money. .49 left in the ball game. West Virginia has cut a 17-point lead down to 6. 2014 is how we stand right now. And Noel Devine is back in the ball game at tailback for the Mountaineers. He gets the handoff. Nothing right up the middle as he is gang tackled, and it's going to be no gain on the play.
You know, down here, you always get a little conservative, but this feels to me, we have not seen Geno Smith throw the ball down the field much at all tonight. A lot of screens, a lot of running in between. You've got speed outside, and now you got 4 wides. Maybe this is a time where you see if those safeties are playing.
When he's got 4 wide receivers, his completion rate is just above 74%. But they go with the running play. Tried to spread them out and then run, and they'll be short at the 10-yard line. Well, here come 3 extra defensive backs in, and the changes are made by John Chavis, the defensive coordinator.
West Virginia trying to go fast with LSU getting all these bodies out.
Actually, he made it just over the 10. West Virginia, 3rd downs. They are 2 of 11. And now here flags.
Illegal substitution on the defense. 12-minute formation. 5-yard penalty.
Yep, there was confusion. All those bodies coming out.
I told you 3 went in, and obviously only 2 came out.
Yeah, and of course, you know, and here goes West Virginia. Boy, I like this. Right away over the ball. Very smart.
3rd down at about 1.5 yards. That's what they need. See if they hit the yellow line here. And now a timeout is being called for the Mountaineers.
Timeout of the half, West Virginia.
Bill Stewart wants to make sure no mistakes down here. He certainly doesn't want to turn it over. And he also certainly wants to pick up the 1st down to keep this thing going. We'll take a break. LSU by 6. Welcome back to the SEC on ESPN. 3rd down, 1.5 yards for the 1st down. Geno Smith waiting for those defenders to shift and then calling an audible.
He's under the guard. He's under the guard.
Well, we told you this crowd was intimidating, and he kept the ball and went for nothing. He lost 2 yards, and that's Ryan Baker. Now, if that doesn't say something about the crowd here at Tiger Stadium, that you could become so rattled that you go under the guard instead of the center, I think that pretty well sums it up.
Well, he was in a shotgun, and it looked like they were going to throw the ball. LSU looked like they were going to bring pressure. He went up to change it, got confused, went up under his guard instead of his center. And that was just a terrible looking play from the start. Let me tell you
something, though. That could have been a really good fooler there. Just snap it directly to Noel.
Exactly.
Here comes the boot. Nettie, good kick, and on the return, it's going to come back for about 5 yards. Right now, let's take a look at our Amway positive performance.
Well, Patrick Peterson, unbelievable that this is his first year returning kicks and punts. That's a 60-yarder. He had an 87-yarder against UNC. He's the team's leader in all-purpose yards because of those returns.
Listen to the reaction of the crowd. Jarrett Lee, the junior out of Brenham, Texas, is coming on the field at quarterback, replacing Jordan Jefferson. They have a stack eye behind him, and they're going to run the football. This is Stephen Ridley. Here's a profile on Jarrett that you might know a little bit more about him. As we said, he's out of Brenham. 9 career starts for the LSU Tigers.
And admittedly, they had to start him too early in 2008. He wasn't quite ready because of the dismissal of Ryan Perilou. Had a tough outing. 16 interceptions, 7 of those returned for touchdowns, but worked extremely hard in the spring. A lot of people thought he was going to transfer to an FCS school where he could have played right away, but instead he went back to work, lost some weight, and really improved himself.
Lee from the shotgun, and he'll go straight ahead with the running play again. Nealed making the stop. And now it's going to be 3rd down, and not quite the same reaction that they did on the 1st down play. As the crowd wants them to do something a little bit more exciting.
No, I think they're going to stay conservative. The way their defense is playing, the way their crowd is helping their defense play.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any reason to do anything else here.
5.5 minutes is what we have left in the ball game.
You know, we haven't really seen a toss sweep with Ridley. It's all been in the middle. It seems like maybe over to your right where you have your tight end Peterson lined up. You've got numbers, it looks like, on that side.
Well, not a good sign in the fact that Tottimer was about to line up on the wrong side. Here comes the flag down. They swing it out, Ridley. And Ridley is very close. In fact, I don't know if he has the 1st down. And let's check and see what the marker is as Glover made the stop.
Illegal formation. Number 78 was off the line. Offense. 5-yard penalty.
Wow.
3rd down.
That's the 3rd penalty on Barksdale, the left tackle. Remember, he had the 2 illegal procedures.
And you know, that's not called that often. Normally there is a warning, but boy, he's way off.
Yeah.
His head has to be between a circle around that center's waist.
Yep.
12th penalty against LSU. So erase what would have picked up a 1st down. And maybe put an asterisk by that play if they don't pick it up here.
Watch for Shepard. He's lined up to the right.
Pass, got it complete. That's Tolliver spinning, not going to be able to pick up the 1st down. And he will be stopped about, 4 or 5 yards short.
Well, and Jarrett Lee doing the same thing we saw Jordan Jefferson do earlier, just come off. He had time. The deeper routes beyond the sticks hadn't even made their breaks yet before he hits Tolliver. You can always come back to the drag. It's going to be there across the whole field. But both of these quarterbacks on 3rd and long situations coming off of their deeper progressions, which will pick up the 1st downs long before they have to.
Well, Helton prepares to punt it away. Clock runs. They're going to run it all the way down, which is smart. They don't have to kick this ball until about 4 minutes left in the game, and that's what he does. Calls for a fair catch and makes it at the 9-yard line. Brandon Hogan. Let's take a timeout. LSU 20-14. Races for his 7th victory of the season, while Clint Boyer and Kevin Harvick are hot on his heels. The chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup at Dover on ESPN tomorrow, 1 Eastern time. Here's the situation. They scrimmage from their own 9-yard line, 91 yards away. They trail by 6. Smith, pressure is on, gets the pass away, and you could see the man coverage. That helped. No interception because the defensive back has got his back to the football. But also the receiver was not prepared to catch it, but he had unloaded.
And not as much crowd noise to deal with right now for Geno Smith. Came up a little gingerly. There's 65,000 left in this building. I'm surprised how many people have left with such a good game. So not as much of a home field advantage as you would want if you're LSU right now.
Devine tries to break a tackle, knocked down behind the line of scrimmage by Sam Montgomery. It's got to be 3rd down for the Mountaineers.
Well, you're starting to feel with 1 timeout left for West Virginia, this is going to be our last drive. I just don't think you can think you're going to stop them another time on offense. So I think you may be thinking 4-down territory here. So something to cut this down to manageable. I don't think you have to necessarily get the 1st down here.
Devine wide right along with Jock Sanders. We haven't called Jock's name in the second half, really, have we?
Nope.
Pressure. Pass away, and he had to throw it too quickly, and that's Marquitius Mingo, the pass rushing specialist for the Tigers.
Well, now you have to punt it. If you'd have gotten down to 4th and 3, 4th and 2, I think you could have gone for it, but now you don't have a choice on 3rd and long. And this just excellent job. Just absolute confusion up front. 2 guys coming free, Mingo, and right behind him was Baker. If he wouldn't have got there, that was a lot of confusion by Jeff Braun, the right tackle, and the right guard, first-time starter Bowers.
Pignetti prepares to kick it away, and again it's going to be Ruben Randall, back deep. This is a short kick. Fair catch is called for and made at the 43-yard line. Well, news and notes. College football today, Blue Saturday. Bernard Robinson injured first quarter, and that's a big win over Bowling Green. Texas upset at home. That's the worst loss under Mac Brown there at DKR. And Crimson Tide survival. They were kept on the life support system by Arkansas. 2 interceptions that were not good ones.
If you were going with Jarrett Lee on the last drive, not sure why you'd switch back here.
Breaking to the outside, Ridley. And Ridley not only has the 1st down, he has about a 17-yard gain. Wendy Nix, let's check back with you in the studio.
Ryan, thank you. Switching gears in the hunt for October, it's Giants and Rockies. Bottom 10th when Troy Tulowitzki, the walk-off double, that will plate Carlos Gonzalez, and the Rockies win. Rockies win 10-9, beat the Giants. Both teams tied for the NL West and the NL wild card. Baseball tonight up next.
Thanks, Wendy. We got just under 2.5 minutes to play in this one, and a really big 1st down run by Stephen Ridley. 16 yards, they say officially. And LSU now just needing to run about 2 minutes and 13 seconds off the clock.
Well, and to me, you do nothing at all. You definitely want to get West Virginia to have to burn that timeout. But this is all about getting down and melting the clock so that Josh Jasper can come out. He's the most accurate kicker in the history of your school. You don't want to, no chances with this ball. This is as conservative. You know what? I'd almost run quarterback sneaks from here. Keep it in the middle of the field. Do not put this ball on the ground. There was a fumble. Stephen Ridley. In the 4th quarter against UNC, Stephen Ridley had that fumble. So you got to be careful here. I want that turnover.
Ridley gets the handoff, breaks the tackle. He's going to have another LSU first down. They'll mark him down as knee touched at the 16. That's Scooter Berry who makes the stop. And folks, for all intent and purposes, that's going to do it right there with 1:25 showing on the game clock. And now it is whistled back in. Ridley, what a night. 20 carries, 117 yards, and a touchdown.
Well, and you can take a knee now. You can just run this clock out. There's just no reason to do anything. That UNC game got awfully scary after Ridley fumbled with 1:08 left, and then UNC got to go down the field and had a couple of passes into the end zone to try to win it. Now I think you get in your safe look just like this and take a knee. This is the right decision.
Yeah, if he's going to go into the victory formation, he will take the knee.
No reason to mess around. You know,
West Virginia just took that final timeout. They stopped it with 43 seconds left.
Well, and West Virginia has nothing to be embarrassed about. They came down, difficult environment, didn't get much going on offense. 177 total yards. We give a lot of credit to LSU. You know, we saw Texas last week against Texas Tech, and that's good defense. This is an awfully good group for LSU.
Well, let's update the standings in the Southeastern Conference. You see Florida and LSU 2-0 in conference play. Auburn at 2-0. Georgia 0-3. Nobody has ever started at 0-3 and had a shot at winning their division or the conference title. So a knee right here, and that'll do it, because the 40-second clock will not have been whistled in time.
Here's how you know how good Patrick Peterson is on defense. How many times did we talk about him on defense tonight? Almost none at all. You just can't even throw it his direction. He takes away a third of the field, and now he adds a dimension in the return game that's just unbelievable. This young man, you know, when we walked out on that practice field, I had not seen him in person. I was blown away at how big and physical he is for a corner. Most corners are 5'10", 5'11", 180, 190 pounds. He's all of 220. Carries a lot of it in his lower body. Very powerful man. And now you see what a dynamic guy he is in the return game. A special player. And that's what this team's going to be about. Defense and special teams going into the SEC.
So the LSU Tigers are going to open this 2010 season undefeated, as they will win again tonight. A hard-fought battle against a stubborn, good come-from-behind effort by the Mountaineers of West Virginia, but they're going to win it as the clock goes to double zeros. Final score 20-14. Let's go down to Janine.
Congratulations to Coach Miles. You know, you were telling me that this week you had a challenge to prepare for and simulate this West Virginia defense, and after some early sloppiness, what adjustments made it work for you guys?
Well, I think our guys did a good job. You know, obviously late in the game, Ridley's powerful running made a difference in the game. You know, I think we played, I think some of the things we set out to accomplish, we did in fact accomplish.
Like what?
I think we attacked their Okie defense the way we wanted to attack it. And I think that there was some success there. Certainly, we were penalties and we stopped ourselves, but we held on to the ball, you know, minus a pick. We were pretty good. Now, we got to get better. We're nowhere near where we need to be.
Well, do you think your offense took the steps that you were looking to see them take tonight?
We did some good things. No, I want us to be better. I want us to be better than that. And I think our guys understand that as well.
Okay, well, savor the win, and then you can get back to work for next week.
4-0 the hard way.
Congrats.
See you.
Janine, thanks so much. Once again, our final score is LSU 20 and West Virginia 14. Coming up next, Baseball Tonight, presented by Verizon.